بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا مولانا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. All praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and may peace and blessings be upon our beloved Maulana Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the master and teacher of all science, inner sciences and outer sciences sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Some of the most important concepts and topics to touch on when we talk about someone beginning their journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So someone at the beginning might have questions around a few of these topics: gatherings, how the Sufis gather, how they dress, how they eat, how they deal with money. So inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to touch on a few of the most important manners around these topics before we go into more detailed discussions on the practices of the Sufis, inshallah ta'ala. And this is all, just for someone to understand at the beginning how the Tasawwuf deals and interacts with these different parts of our life. So, a lot of people think that Tasawwuf is just about being alone, wearing really ugly clothes, not having any money, not working, not having an income, and that's it. Okay. And the reality to that is that Tasawwuf is not about these things. Tasawwuf is about reaching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, we can use things to get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we don't get attached to it. And that's the general rule. If something brings you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we use it and we endorse it. But if something brings us away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we cut that thing off. So Tasawwuf is not about being away from people. Actually, one of the pillars of Tasawwuf is suhbah, is being with people, being close and gathering with the different murids, the other people, the other followers of the Shaykh, and the Shaykh himself also. And also doing, helping and serving others, doing khidmah to them. So Tasawwuf is not about being alone. Okay, you only need to be alone when you are required to be alone, but not in all times and situations. One of the sayings in Tasawwuf is that Tasawwuf is built on three things. Okay, ijtima', so gathering; istima', listening. So you gather. Imagine you gather. Your teacher's there, and he teaches you something. So you gather, and then you listen to what you're being told. And then ittiba', following. Ijtima', istima', ittiba'. If you get these three right, you're on the right track, inshallah. So you get these three right, meaning that you do all of these threes with the correct manner. You gather with the intention to get close to Allah, to get to benefit, to take from the barakah of the people around you. And then you listen. You listen to what you're being told with the intention to learn, to gain, knowledge. And then you follow. You don't just listen and not apply what you learn. That's it. It's that simple. And through this, you will, overcome a lot of shortcomings, inshallah, and learn a lot. Now, like I said, Tasawwuf is about mixing with the right people and staying away from the wrong people. Someone brings you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you don't come together with them. Now, another principle mentioned in the book that you would read in detail is that when we gather with good people who are, on the same path, then there must be something called ittila. One of the conditions of gathering is ittila. Ittila means, that the people, when they gather, their hearts are close to each other. People, when they gather, their hearts are close to each other. Okay? So there's no hatred between them. Now, because of this, the scholars mentioned that when we gather as a group of people following this path, in the gatherings, people from different ranks, people who are in different levels on the way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should all be together. So we don't differentiate between them. And because you're supposed to benefit from your Shaykh, but also from the other people who are following your Shaykh. You should benefit from them also. Take from their barakah. Now, also, we shouldn't be excessively formal. We should have manners, but not be excessively formal. We should be down to earth when we gather. But like I said, while keeping honest. Now, the Shaykh in Tasawwuf, the Shaykh of the students, the Murshid, would probably organize different types of gatherings for his followers. So there would be like a gathering of knowledge, a class, a weekly class. If the Shaykh himself is a person of knowledge, then he would contact the class himself. If he finds that someone else is more knowledgeable, one of his followers, has more fiqh than him, but the Shaykh is of course more knowledgeable about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he would get that person to teach. But generally, he would conduct or he would organize a class of knowledge for the murids to take Islamic knowledge. The second thing is that there will probably be gatherings of dhikr. So they would get together and they would say, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah. They would mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another type of gathering is gathering of mahabba. We might gather together just to strengthen our connection to each other. There would be like a lot of the gatherings might include nasheeds, okay, things that soften the heart, of course. There would be gatherings of questions and answers, so mudarasa, mudakara. So the Shaykh would be there, and then the students would ask him questions, maybe about the nafs, about the shaitan, about certain things like that. There might be gatherings of Quran, even other types of gatherings. This would all be organized by the Shaykh or under the overseeing of a Shaykh. Now, mixing with people who don't hold the same values as you and push you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is dangerous and it can waste your life. And being alone is better than being with some people. So we also try not to mix too much with people who argue, who use their time in things that distract us away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the most important role about gathering, okay, so gathering versus being alone, is that a balance is important in every Muslim's life. Every Muslim should have some time where they gather with others. Positive, healthy gatherings, but everyone should also have time of uzla, time when they're alone. Could be half an hour a day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour a day, whatever you have, just before Fajr, maybe half an hour. A time where you're alone with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you pray and you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's very important. So there's times of uzla and there's times of ijtima'. We do them both. Prophet says, وَرَجُلٌ ذَكَرَ اللَّهَ خَالِيًا فَرَفْعًا. There's a man who remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, when he was alone and cried, and because of that, this person was one of the people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shades on the day of judgment. Now, in some cases, a Shaykh might ask one of his followers to do something called khalwa. Okay, so to be alone in a place, could be a masjid, it could be a zawiyah, it could be any place, and not to mix with anyone for a certain period of time. So it could be 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Some people might take it up to 40 days, but generally it's usually a few days. And this is usually before that person reaches a very high stage of wilaya or spiritual state that is usually used to take them to the next level. And that's for something that comes inshallah later on. So is mentioned in details in larger no. So, like I said, mixing needs to have a balance, and the Shaykh, of course, will always guide the person towards having that balance. Now, the Prophet ﷺ says, he who mixes with people and has patience with their harmful actions is better than he who doesn't mix with them. This hadith is an important hadith, and of course, it has context. So, if someone gets affected by the people, if someone is not strong enough to deal with people's issues, and they bring them down and they affect them, then no, this person might not need to mix with them because the hadith has a condition. And that is that the person will have patience. If you're not strong enough, you get affected, then the Shaykh might order you to be alone for a bit, or even stay away from certain people, do certain work on yourself until you're strong enough to deal with people. Once you become a person of strong knowledge and maybe a Shaykh, then inshallah you can mix with all types of people, and inshallah ta'ala they wouldn't affect you with their life. Now, the state of khalwa that I mentioned is something that varies from person to person. according to advice of Shaykh, some great imams, okay, went into a state of khalwa for many years. Okay, it wasn't a full khalwa, it wasn't being alone in a house alone, but it was being disattached from society. Like Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, Qaddasallahu sirruh. Imam Dhabi says that over 100,000 people astray came back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and thousands of non-Muslims became Muslims. Okay, he was like the master of masters, Qutb al-Aqtab, okay, the full of poles. And he was in a state of khalwa, state of being alone for 27 years. Okay, 27 years. In this state, he used to mix with people, but people didn't know him. He was in Baghdad, just drinking from the river, eating whatever he finds, and going through different stages, different lessons. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was taking him through a special journey, similar to what Imam Ghazali mentioned when he went through the bush and this and that, and things happened to him, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught him different stages and states of nafs through that. Okay, and when he returned and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened this for him, he became the main mufti and teacher of the village in Baghdad at that time. And like I said, people used to benefit from him and come in from everywhere in the world just to seek his guidance. And myself, I've met my own Shaykh. He was in a state similar to this for around I believe 18 years. So subhanAllah, this happened. He was living and mixing with people in a way, but he was alone. Like he wasn't really that involved with people for a long time, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was taking him through different journeys, different stages, until he was given the full permission to do sleep, to bring the murids up and bring them close to Allah subhanahu. Another thing that is famous about Sufis is clothing. See, do Sufis not care about how they look? Is that this the case? One of the most famous misconceptions about clothing is that Sufis wear things that look funny and look weird, or they wear bad clothing. That's not the case. Sufis are the ones who try to practice Islam. And in Islam, we're supposed to care about how we look. The Prophet was always looking beautiful. Okay, but the main concept when it comes to clothing is that we wear things that do not require too much effort and care, and we don't obsess about what we wear. The same thing like we said about gatherings, about eating, we don't obsess about this. So all clothing are permissible unless there's proof showing that this type of clothing is haram, like silk. Men cannot wear silk in Islam, for example. In the Shafi'i madhab, the piece of cloth that you wear can't be more than 50% silk. If it was mixed with different fabrics, but with less than 50%, then it could be. Now, Rasulullah wore all types of colors: red, yellow, black, white, green, jubba, imama, burda, cloak. All different types of clothing were mentioned in the Sunnah. So they are permissible. Some colors are more beloved, more encouraged because they have significance. And generally, green and white are the best of colors. So green is mentioned to be the color of the people of Jannah. And it's also the color of the dome of the Prophet. Green is mentioned also in the story of Sayyidina Khadr alayhi salam. It's mentioned in many different, examples of history. And green itself is always an indication of life. Indication of life. The color green is written many times, and that's one of the colors, like I said, that a lot of people find has good meaning to it, good energy to it. Also, white is of course mentioned in many hadith, and is encouraged to wear white in Islam. Now, all clothes are general principle. However, it can't be worn through self-desire, through power. Okay, it's just to fulfill our own desire. We should wear our clothes, okay, and be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not be attached too much to what we wear. Early Sufis were mentioned in history to wear clothes that were made from wool, okay, from suf. That's what they call Sufi in some, according to some people. And this was the case for many reasons. They mentioned that the reason that suf was preferred by them is that it's close to being humble. It's humble. It's not something that you show off. Also, it's easy to find. It's everywhere, and it doesn't cost much. But it's good quality. It's strong. So wool clothes are strong clothes. They're good clothes. Many of the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala were mentioned to have worn wool. So Musa alayhi salam, when he spoke to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a hadith, in some of the narrations, it was mentioned that he wore wool. There's also a hadith in Bayhaqi that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves a person, does not mind what he wears. So wool is something simple and easy and accessible. This ruling might change from time to time. And that's why Abu Abdullah as-Sulami says, their manner, the Sufis, the masters of Tasawwuf, their manner in clothing were that they would wear whatever they found. And their main concern was to find that it is practical and simple, covering the awrah, and also something that prevents you from heat and from cold. So, your body is comfortable and you're able to focus on your ibadah and you're not obsessed with what you read. That is the general case, the general condition. That's why Aisha radiallahu anha says in hadith, Rasulullah never had more than one of every item. So he would have whatever he needs, simple, types of clothing, and that's it. He wouldn't obsess about this. In some stages of history, Sufis were known to wear clothes made up from excess